Hello, hello, hello. I'm going to be doing this podcast episode on the liberated woman as an Instagram live. Spontaneously decided to hop onto my Instagram and do it as a live. So if you see me moving my eyes or my face from side to side, that is because I'm simultaneously recording it both on my phone and for YouTube, so that those of you that like to follow it as a video on YouTube, you can watch this later. So welcome to this episode of The Liberated Women. I really just felt called to double share this on my Instagram at the same time so that you can watch it, hear it, follow it on YouTube, wherever you want to. And I'm so pleased that you're always tuning into more episodes of the Liberated Women podcast. I really enjoy recording these conversations for you, whether it's on my own or whether it's with other people, and getting guests in to have conversations on the podcast. By the way, if you do want to be a guest on my podcast and you think you have a really interesting topic to come and share with my listeners around the themes of feminine liberation, whatever you think that might be, please send me a DM and I'll send you an application form to fill in, because I would love to get more guests onto the podcast and more people to come and share their stories and their wisdom and their ideas with the listeners, so that it's not always just me using my voice to share my stories, but that we just really spread out all of this wisdom that women carry within them. So today, I really just want to share about why, as right now, the role of being a visionary woman is so important, and why we need the visionaries, the women on this planet, to step into their embodied leadership, why we need you as women to have big visions and to embody those big visions, and really why we need women right now on this planet to make this huge paradigm shift that we need when we see what is going on in the world and we see the kind of leadership that is actually out there. And I'm talking about on the world stage, I'm talking about politically, but also in the coaching industry. Like, I'm not that enamored. I say the coaching industry, that refers to the healing industry too, even if you want to call it an industry. But the space in which this kind of work is shared, I'm not that enamored with what I see out there. And there are just so many incredible women who have visions and who have gifts that they want to share with the world, but they don't know how to share it with the world. And I have been one of those women. When I first started to go through my spiritual awakening, I knew that I had gifts. I knew that I had visions, and I knew that I had dreams, and I knew that I had things that I really felt called to share with the world. But I just didn't know how to do it. I just thought I'd be perceived as wacky, as crazy, as a witch, as, all of these kinds of stigmas that we as women have carried within our DNA, within our cellular system, within our bodies for a really long time. And for many of us who are what you might like to call light workers, healers, energy healers, facilitators, shamans, whatever you want to call yourself, or whatever word you most identify or associate with, we've lived the persecution wound. We've been literally persecuted for sharing our gifts, for using our voices, for showing up in our light and in our gifts. Hey, Mira. Hey, Natalie. Sorry, Ali. Hey, Ali. Um, we've been literally persecuted for showing up with our gifts. And this persecution wound lives very deeply within our cellular system and our DNA. And if you don't know right now, and I'm going to do a whole separate post about this on Instagram and in my email feed, and probably a podcast episode too. But right now, there's a petition going around where you can actually sign to pardon all of the women and the men that were accused of being witches in the witch trials in the UK. So I'm going to share that link very soon, because I feel really deeply that as a healer, as a psychic, as an oracle, as somebody who carries these innate gifts within my cellular system because of my lineage, because of my ancestry, I've really felt so ashamed for so long and gaslit myself for so long for having these gifts and not really sharing them fully with the world. And how do you share it with the world? How can you convey the depth of who you are as a woman on your Instagram feed? How can you convey the depths of who you are as a woman in an email to somebody? How can you convey the depths of your womb and what you carry in your soul code without someone feeling your energy and experiencing your energy, whether that's in person or in an online container, that they're a journey that they're with you in a women's circle? It's not always that easy as a woman to be able to share those gifts so openly and freely, and for somebody to meet you where you're at and the depth of where you're at. But I really want to call upon the visionary women at this time. We see what's happening in the world. We see the leadership that is out there, and we see that it is so corrupt, and we see that the structures are crumbling. And more and more and more women are awakening, not just women, men too, men that are connected to their feminine, men that are connected to their path of awakening and their healing journey. We see that more and more people are having the eyes to see what is really going on out there. And more people are kind of understanding the depth of the deception and the lies that we have been fed over so much time. Hey, Zoe. And we are really starting to awaken to that fact. And people are looking for guidance around that because they carry within them a really deep soul code. You as an individual carry with you a really unique depth that only you have. Only you have. It is your unique soul code. And it is carried through your lineage. It's carried through your ancestry. For me, it's my ability it's my psychic abilities, it's my oracular abilities, it's my mystical abilities, it's my ability to tune into people so quickly when I'm journeying with them that I can clear lifetimes of ancestral trauma in a very short space of time. It's my ability to sing and move and speak and write light language. It's my ability to use these gifts to help people to heal. And for so long, I gaslighted myself over this. Now, it can't be true. I can't possibly be a psychic. I can't possibly have these visions. I can't possibly be manifesting it. Well, I do. And you do too. And every woman has that gift inside of them. And I'm so passionate about you accessing those gifts and accessing your true unique soul code and being that visionary woman, being the woman that says, I have big dreams and big visions, and I'm not afraid to go out and get them. And if there are blocks and resistances and uncomfortable feelings that arise as a result of having those visions, which they will, because we live in a society that has told us we can't as women, and from the persecution of this light worker persecution that we've experienced over lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes. And let's not even get into other multiple dimensions that we have lived in. That's for a whole other time. But we have experienced this so deeply that our body knows and our cellular system knows. And sometimes it can feel really, really difficult to access the courage to claim those visions and to share them and to say, actually, I have that gift and I'm ready to share it with the world. And I don't care what judgment I receive from my family, from my friends, from the people around me, from society, from the patriarchal conditioning that we find ourselves living in. And by the way, this patriarchal conditioning doesn't just apply to women, it very much affects our men too. And as women, we get to activate our men into their own soul code and their own unique soul what's the word I'm looking for, their own codes that they get to bring through as well, their gifts that they get to bring to the planet. We get to do this together. It's so incredibly beautiful. And when you are in an encouraging group of women, a group of women who can support you and see you and understand you and then encourage that gift to come out of you, it's so beautiful, because in that moment you feel so seen and so heard and so witnessed that it's like a breath of relief, like, oh, someone sees me, someone hears me, someone gets who I am. I don't have to hide or shame that part of myself anymore. So if you are watching this live, or even if you're watching this later on a replay or on my YouTube channel, by the way, you can go ahead and watch all my podcast episodes on my YouTube channel, and the link is in my bio on my Instagram for that. I'd love to know from you, what gift do you feel that you have been hiding away from the world? Because I know you have one. We all have one. We're magical beings. We are literally magic in flesh and bone. This is just the exterior, but what lives inside of us is so deeply magical. And we have the ability to rewrite so many of the scripts that have been written for us by men with deep pockets and an agenda. We actually get to rewrite those scripts, and we get to rewrite our soul codes, and we actually get to change the narrative at a soul level so that you can actually access those visions because you are a visionary woman. And then you get to actually bring that matter into form so that it's not just a vision in your mind, it's not just a knowing in your being, that you actually get to then create that into your reality. And I've done that over and over and over again. And it takes trust and it takes courage to listen to the visions that are placed in your heart by God. It takes a lot of trust and a lot of courage, because sometimes a vision will come to you and you'll be like, that can't possibly be for me. No way. No way. There's no way I can do that. There's no way I can give up that part of my life. There's no way that I can sign up for that course. There's no way that I can leave that job. There's no way that I can find the man or the woman of my dreams or whoever it is that you're desiring to call in. There's no way. We tell ourselves that, or our ego tells ourselves that, to keep us safe, right? To keep us in a place that has always felt comfortable and always felt safe. It doesn't want us to expand. Why would it want us to expand? Well, we're very comfortable here. It's like getting out of bed on a cold winter's morning. It's like this morning when the alarm went off so that we could go for our cold water dip. And my ego's going, no way, no, thank you. No, 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 it's so warm in here. Why would I want to get out of my comfortable bed right now and go and put my body in freezing cold water? Right? Like, why would I want to do that? But what's on the other side of that? When I let the ego subside and I think about what that experience could bring me, how it can change me, and then I'm there and I'm doing it, I'm like, wow, thank God, thank Goddess that I put my ego aside and I took myself out of my comfort zone and I took the plunge, most literally this morning, almost. I didn't quite put my full body in the water because it was honestly so cold, but you get the analogy. And so it can feel difficult to fully feel safe to embody the visions that are placed on your heart by God. But these visions are placed there for a reason, and they're for you and for you only. Your unique visions are so powerful. And I want to share a little story about the power of this kind of vision. When I first started to spiritually awake and go through my crazy dark night of the soul, probably the second time round, but only this time I was aware that that was what was happening. The first time it happened when I was 22, I honestly didn't have a clue what was going on. I was in the midst of coming out of an abusive relationship and had a really bad car accident, and I was just so deeply in my trauma, I didn't know that that's what was happening. But when it happened again at the age of 32, 10 years later, I was very aware of what was happening. And during my early stages of spiritual awakening, when I would meditate, I would always see this beautiful bay, like a tropical beach bay with a jungle behind it. And every time I would go into that vision, into that place, it was so clear. It was like a crystal clear vision for me. And every time I would go into that place, behind me in the jungle, I'd see community. I'd see some kind of ecstatic dance party, like jungle party. And I would see or feel a sense of sacred union with a partner. I didn't have a partner at that time. I was actually in the midst of a breakup with somebody, and then I was single for quite some time. So none of that was in my reality, right? This was all just a vision, a cosmic vision that was placed in my third eye, but in my heart, in my soul, in my womb. And so that vision has actually been coming back to me for about 5 years now. And through that vision, I kept tuning into it, and I would write down every time I wanted to kind of access magic of, You know, if I get to create the life that I desire, what would it look like? What would it feel like? How would I embody it? Hey, Amy, how would I embody it? I would write down in my journal, and I've done this, honestly, I've lost track of the number of times I've written down this particular journal entry, but I would write down my ideal day, what would it look like to have my most abundant day, my most free day, my most vital day, the day I feel most alive, aligned in truth, etc. And I would always write, I wake up in a beautiful airy room, I open the doors and I see the jungle and the beach. I would write it from the same vision. Then I would continue my day. I would be with a man of my dreams. I would be with a beautiful man next to me. This is part of my vision. And then we would go to a retreat center where we would work, and we would hold ceremonies and breathwork journeys and ancestral healing and shamanic journeys. And we would be doing all these incredible things. And I've been writing this honestly for so long in my journal. And then I said to my partner, Josh, how about we sit down and we have a fire? This was about maybe 2 months ago. Let's sit down, have a fire in our house, and let's write down our most abundant ideal days separately, and then we'll share them with each other. So we did it. We created this ceremonial container for us to do that. And ritual and magic and ceremony is a huge part of the way I live my life. It's a huge part of the way both my partner and I live our lives. And it's a huge part of the way that we call in these visions and anchor them into our body, because through that we get to remove a lot of the fears and the resistances that also come up to be witnessed, right? And to be met, because they will, because it's uncomfortable. And we both wrote down our ideal days and we read them out loud to each other. And they were pretty much, I would say 99%, almost exactly the same. And guess what he wrote? The same as me. Sunshine, jungle, beach, community, retreat center, dance, movement, freedom, health. It was like the same. We wrote almost exactly the same thing. And 2 months later, we've literally created that into our reality. We are moving to Costa Rica in about 2.5 weeks' time. We are moving to the jungle, which is 10 minutes from a beach. The casita that we're going to be living in at the retreat center we're going to is called Jungle Casita with Ocean View. Like, you can't make this stuff up. You cannot. It's magic. And this is the power of visioning. This is the power of being a visionary woman, because it took 5 years to get here. And I had to go through so many trials and tribulations and so much healing and shadow work along the way to get here. But this is the power of the vision. This is the power of magic. And this is why I know that you carry that magic and that vision inside of you too. And those of you that are joining tonight for the Envision ceremony, this is exactly what we're going to do. We're going to fully ground and anchor in your body and your visions, connect it to Pachamama, connect it to the earth, because she wants to support you, so that then we can call in the visions that you truly desire from a place of truth and integrity. Because your ego will want to tell you one thing, but the truth of your vision is something else. And it might not look like you think it does. And it might not come to you the way that you think it's going to. And you might meet with roadblocks and resistances and obstacles along the way. And that's part of the learning. That's part of the human experience. It's part of the experience we get to have as spiritual beings. Hey, Tom. So for those of you that are joining tonight, that's exactly what we're going to be doing. We're going to be using ritual magic. I'm going to help you remove blocks and resistances that you might be experiencing towards your visions and your dreams through light language clearing and energy clearing. We're going to have a release ceremony. We're going to call in the visions through a journey and a meditation. And we're going to be sharing that, because when you share it out loud, there's power in your words. And words literally cast spells. So the words that we use are so important to call in the thing that we want, because you have to be so careful around the words that you are using. Really, words are spells. And that's why the witches were persecuted, because they had power in their words and in their visions, and they cast spells to break the spells of the distortion that the patriarchy placed on society, but especially on women. And so we're going to use this idea of language and power and words to cast in your visions. And I would love to have you there. this ceremony is aimed at women, but if there are men out there that want to join tonight's ceremony, I am so happy for you to come and be a part of this, because actually we need you too. We need men of the new, we need you to create this new earth paradigm. We need you, men. We really do. We need you stepping into your true soul code. We need you stepping into your true vision. We need you stepping into your purpose and embodying it and living it, because we need everybody side by side supporting each other through this crazy, intense, weird and wonderful world that we inhabit as passers-by on planet Earth. We are just here for a short time in this lifetime. So let's make it count. Let's do the thing. Create the thing you want to, say the thing you want to, live how you want to. Find your vision and then go and live it. So if you want to join us tonight for Envision, I will post the link in this live. You can also go ahead and find it in the link in my bio if you're on my mailing list. If you're not on my mailing list, get on my mailing list, because I share more personal stories in there too. So please go and get yourself on the mailing list, also in the link in my bio. And or watch this on YouTube or / tune into the Liberated Women podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. If you join me live, thank you so much to those of you that are watching it on the replay. Thank you so much to those of you who continue to support me with my podcast and listen and share and tag me. I love it when you tag me, because then we get to spread the magic to more people. And the magic needs to be spread right now, everyone. We all need a bit of magic. So thank you so much. Until next time, I will see some of you tonight in the Envision ceremony, and I will tune in with you again next week.